Well, I'm John Lovell. My uncle, who was a lawyer, used to say that 99% of all wisdom is born of scar tissue. But what I've come to appreciate since then, since learning that from my uncle, was that real wisdom comes in being able to learn from somebody else's scars. So one of the things that I've learned is, since getting out of law school, is the other 1/3 of the truth about clients. When I was at Baylor Law School, Professor Windorf in our evidence class in 1983 told us, he said, now when you guys get out there in the real world, you're going to find out that your criminal clients will usually lie to you about something important. Not always, but usually. And I found that to be true. And the other thing he told us, the other 1/3 of the truth, was that your civil clients will sometimes lie to you about something important. But the 1/3 of the truth that I didn't learn in law school is that occasionally your civil clients will lie about you. So one of the things I've learned in years of practicing law is the importance of having time records so that you can be able to prove the truth about what you did and what you didn't do when a client makes a false accusation against you. And what I've learned is that it's therefore very important to keep accurate and contemporaneous time records of all your activities. In the event that a client makes a false claim against you and says you didn't tell me, or you never notified anybody, or I never met with you to discuss that conflict, by having the records contemporaneously made, then you're able to prove the truth about what you did or what you didn't do. Time records are important for a lot of other reasons too. For one thing, most clients don't really understand what all a lawyer does. They don't understand how long it takes to do things. And so by having detailed time records that you present with your billing, you're able to show the client, and the client's able to see not only what you had to do to provide those services, but they're able to see what your staff had to do. In my office, all the secretaries, all the paralegals, all the lawyers, everybody except the receptionist keeps their time records. And it's not only for the purpose of billing, but it's also for the purpose of demonstrating to the client everything that has to be done to provide the services. When they get to see how long it takes your secretary to finalize a contract or a pleading, when they understand what you're doing and not billing for, like the time that you have to spend to find a misplaced file, well, obviously you don't bill for that, but you show them that you're not billing for that. When you spend time in a meeting visiting with a client about your children or their children, when you show, yes, I did spend that 15 minutes with you, but I'm not billing because I was just visiting. It gives the client confidence that they're being billed appropriately. It gives the client the understanding of how much time you have to spend to do things. It gives the client the understanding of the overhead that you have. For example, when they see that a non-billing person like a secretary is spending hours and hours and hours on their matter, they understand that employee is being paid, but they're not having to pay for it additionally. So they understand why it is your hourly rate, is what it is, because the overhead you have to have. The other important thing in my mind about accurate time records is it helps your employees and you yourself, your other lawyers in your firm, be more accountable for your time. If during the day you have to write down, well, spent 15 minutes looking on the internet news, or spent 20 minutes talking to somebody about the football game last week, that makes you aware that you need to be efficient with your time and you need to be productive with your time when everybody has to write that down. So that cuts down on the piddle factor, that can happen in an office over time. Another reason that is very important, it's turned out pretty important in my practice too, is the need to be able to prove your attorney's fees properly as required by the Tony Guglielmo motor case and El Apple, so that when you have to go to court to prove your entitlement to recover attorney's fees for your client, you have the records to do that. And then the other thing that accurate time records do, it gives you the ability to manage your office and to see where you're inefficient or where you're efficient. It lets you deal with being able to quantify the time you're actually able to spend doing productive work and the time that you're doing non-productive things. And so for all these reasons, in our firm, whether the case is contingent, whether it's a charitable case, whether it's an hourly case, we always keep detailed time records, and it's always been valuable to me in my practice.